This segment contains 4 emergencies. Each one makes me pucker a little more than the last. There's one in particular that really makes me pucker. There's a racial element involved. And I just can't stand that kind of thing. I just can't stand it. Usually I look away from it.
Yes.
But it is intriguing. We'll talk with our
What's
officials.
the opposite of an ally?
I try to be I try to be an ally.
Don't claim that. You wouldn't show up for the protests and meetings. You're not.
I don't go to a lot of protests.
No.
There's very few. There's some.
But you want people to think you're one of the good whites.
Well, yeah. A lot of times I'll drive by a protest and be like, "What's going on out here now?"
Yeah.
Move.
And I'll try to
have somewhere to be.
you know.
Yeah, get a job, hippie.
There'll be a bunch of signs, and I'll try to make them out. Like, I don't know exactly what. I don't know what that is.
Your idea of being an ally is not to associate with minorities.
I don't want it said. I don't want that to be said. I am an ally to all who are in any way stricken with anything. I want that. I want that,
That should be on a t-shirt.
That should be on my t-shirt. I want that on my tombstone. He was an ally to anyone who was stricken with anything in any way. That's what I want on my tombstone. It's wordy, but I think it describes me.
Yeah.
I am an ally. There is one. Now, the first one is not the one that makes me pucker like that. There is a woman who went into labor at home and had to give birth at home in
By
Philadelphia.
herself?
Philadelphia, yeah. She went into labor 10 days early. She lives 2 minutes from the hospital, and her husband said, "Let's go." And she said, "This baby's going to slide out on the sidewalk." She literally used those words. She said, "This baby, if we leave, will slide out on the sidewalk." This is the mom.
I was due April 11th. April 1st, he decided to make his grand entrance. It started getting more intense. So instead of it being like 10, 15 minutes apart, it was like 5 to 4 minutes apart. My concern was me trying to actually walk down the steps, and then he slide out.
Mm-hmm. He slide out on the steps. So she said that to her husband, and her husband, "Oh my God, I can't
be a part of this.
I can't be a part of this." That was Danielle Roberts. And her husband, I think he is the typical husband here, because at the end of it,
Is he just dazed?
complete. And he said, "I had to just remove myself from the whole situation."
Just not understanding the pain. So at that point, I was like, I'm going to shut up.
That's what he said.
Smart.
He kept saying, "Get in the car, get in the car, get in the car." And she said, "You've got to stop talking." And he said, I'm going to shut up. That's what every husband should do and really wants to do.
Just not understanding the pain. So at that point, I was like, I'm going to shut up. And then I'm going to just assist. And then next thing I know, the baby slid right like a water park.
God. Like a water park.
But isn't that...
That's what
I
you
don't
want.
know.
I think that's what
Is
you
it
want.
easier on the mother?
I would think. I mean, I've been through a couple of births. It wasn't like a water park. I mean, it took us a few hours to do it, and it was a lot of push this, push.
How long? I guess there's no average, is there? Because every childbirth is different. But the first part that typically appears is the top of the head. Yes.
Oh, yes.
From that moment until all the feet are out, what do you think the average time duration is? None of it.
It really varies.
That's a good question. It does vary from the very moment, because they say you're
from water slide to
that's water. Yeah, that's quick. I mean, that's water slide.
water park.
Our labors, my wife. I say our. My wife's labor.
Here comes the ringing.
The first one, 5.5 hours. I mean, we got to the hospital about.
But I mean, she knows it's coming.
Oh yeah.
But she wasn't
not crowning
on the table.
That's the term, crowning. They tell you. That's another bad term. That made me squeamish when I was in there. They say, you're 6 inches dilated or 8 inches dilated. And once it gets to 10, that's when you start to see the baby's head. I want to say about an hour for us. Once the baby's head appeared, there's pushing and stuff. Maybe half hour to an hour for us. And luckily, the babies we got 2. Yeah, 2. 5 hours and 7 hours, something like that, maybe even less. My wife did not have the epidural, and I wanted to save a little cash.
That's right. Make sure
I said
she wants that on her tombstone.
That's right. She does want that on her tombstone.
Yeah.
We know what's written on mine. I am an
2
ally.
kids
Yeah.
without
Yeah, that's right. 2 kids without
the
epidural.
epidural.
And I think that might have made our labors, I say her labor, go faster. I think so. She was a real trooper in there. John, you've delivered your own baby, I'm told. Please give us the story.
Yeah, he's right here, actually.
Good.
We live across the street from the hospital, but the wife woke up at like 7 and said, he's coming. And I was like, I'm not getting up. I didn't believe her. We'd already had one. So I
Right?
get in there.
Yeah.
She's in the other bathroom on the far side of the place we were living at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and she's in the position. And I'm like, oh, my God, scared out of my mind. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
The only thing running through your head is like, I'm going to mess this up. Something's going to happen to the baby. Something's going to happen to my wife. But it's over before you know it. And she would have never made the hospital. The lady's probably right. I mean,
Really?
2.5, 3 minutes.
Wow.
We got the doctor on the phone. The doctor said, breathe. She told me to catch the baby. We called 911. The EMTs came and cut the cord and took us over across the street to the hospital.
Man.
How much was the ambulance ride?
$400.
$1,400.
Isn't that ridiculous? Yeah. Was it like the husband in this case called it like
Water
a
park.
water park? Was it like a water park?
Oh, my gosh, man.
Yeah.
We threw away, enough towels to house a family of 4 or 5.
Yeah.
I mean, it was disgusting.
I figured.
That's just
But
what.
That's,
Yeah.
it's one of those memories, man. And like I said, he is right here.
Yep.
And I remember sitting in the van because I didn't ride in the ambulance because we'd need a way home.
Yeah.
Just thinking about, man, I'm going to remember this forever. And I picked his name right there. And he is named after Lane Staley from Alice in Chains, my favorite singer
Mm-hmm.
ever.
You did it.
Oh man,
You did it. That's pretty
it's a
impressive.
great story.
I love it. That's a great story. You tell it well, too.
And Little Lane.
Congratulations. That's pretty awesome. So, I'm sorry about your towels.
Yeah, I hope you threw them all out.
Your linens. You don't want those
You don't
anymore.
keep those,
You
yeah.
can't
No,
keep
you
that.
can't even
That's right.
bleach them.
I don't think so.
No.
Not after that. I've seen it twice.
You know, it's crazy. I mean, it sounds like some of this technology has not changed since the 1800s. Because if you watch old movies and TV shows, when a woman goes into labor, what do they say? Get sheets.
Yes. Hot water and sheets.
Hot
towels.
water and sheets.
That's right. They boil some water and get me some towels. They always say that. I mean, you can do it. You heard him. It can be done.
It
but
happens probably every day somewhere, right?
yeah, I bet so. In some ways, I think you're lucky because you don't have to sit there for 25 hours in labor. Some women do. They're in labor forever, and it's so terrible because it goes. I mean, it's so tiring at the end. I'm sure.
Like the previous caller with the dad of Little Lane.
Mm-hmm.
Did you at any point ever think your wife was making it up, Kelly?
No, I could tell.
It was real.
Yeah, it was real. Well, the first time her water broke in bed, and she said, I mean, we woke up. She woke up and said, I think my water just broke. And
Pipe down.
Well, I guess I can pee the bed then.
I said, well, let's get moving. Let's go. And she did her
Well,
makeup.
that's right. She did her hair and makeup.
Because she wanted the pictures. She wanted to look good in the pictures later. And I said, come on, we've got to go. I was really afraid that I was going to be delivering the baby in a parking lot somewhere on the way to the hospital. We got there. It was a couple more hours, but geez, that was scary. Lauren, you're talking about, well, you're a labor and delivery nurse. Chris Demm's question was, what's the average length after you see the head that it takes for somebody to give birth? Go ahead.
Oh, well, after the head, usually you're pretty close. But in general, labor times, it depends on if it's your first baby, second baby, third baby. Typically, the more babies you have, the faster it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you have to be induced, an induction can take anywhere from, just a few hours to 3 days, depending on, how long it takes the body to get in labor. So it really, really varies. But usually, the more babies you have, we say the labor time splits in half. So for me personally, my first labor was just over 24 hours. And my second baby was less than 3 hours.
Oh, really?
So,
that big a difference? Yeah. Good for you.
Okay. Thank you.
This is me cheering her on. Good for you. Way to go.
Ally.
I'm an ally.
Always have been.
Knocked it down from 24 hours to 3. That's your new PR. That's how I
think you can beat it, Lauren.
Yeah. Great job, Lauren, and thank you for the information, Tim. We've got, now that one made me pucker a bit. This one makes me pucker a little, too. It's also about emergency. And they're doing a story on this in Savannah. We're on in Savannah, Georgia. And that county is Chatham County, Georgia. And apparently people are upset with the 911 system there because almost 25% over the last year when they call 911, Nobody answers. It rings like 10 or 12 times and nobody picks up.
25%?
It was 24.1%.
Oh, no.
That the calls go unanswered. So it's a big deal, of course. And one guy was telling his story, and this is egregious. His name is Dylan Johnson, and on Valentine's Day of this year, he was at work in the morning, about 9:30 in the morning. His wife called and said, someone is snooping around the house. And they knew who it was, and they have beef with the person. And she's like, he's here, and he's looking in the windows and snooping around the house. So he was really concerned, of course. He called 911. It rang for 3 minutes. Nobody answered, so he hung up. He called a second time. It rang for a minute and a half. He's on the way home now. They hung up. It didn't. Nobody answered. He hung up. Finally, he got somebody to answer, and he was obviously very, very concerned about what was going on with his wife. This is the man telling the story of what happened.
My wife called me while I was at work at about 9:30 and said someone, was snooping around the house, knocking on the doors, banging on the windows and stuff.
So when he finally got the 911 operator on the phone, she said, hang on a second. And he could hear her unmistakably ordering her breakfast with whoever was there next to her. She said she wanted. And that's what she has in common with Chris Demm. Here's her order.
McGriddle.
McGriddle.
Sorry, what?
So she's talking with somebody else in her ear. Said she wanted a McGriddle, and the woman said, "Do you want anything else?" I'm sorry, what?
What?
And so she and Chris Demm had the same breakfast order.
It's delicious.
They're McGriddle people.
It is a delicious, delicious breakfast.
When city council got word of this, they said, this won't do.
That should never happen, okay? Your ordering breakfast should be different from your answering a call, and the two should never intertwine.
I think he speaks for all of us.
Yeah.
He's right. The two should never meet. Your breakfast order's got to be done separately from the 911 call. Woman said, hold on a second.
Have you not heard of the apps?
Yeah, that's right. Can you not order on the
Uber
app?
Eats,
Come on.
DoorDash.
The guy said, she said to him, hang on a second. Give me a McGriddle.
McGriddle. Sorry, what?
What? You're getting orange juice, too.
And this is what I picture.
Yep.
I picture somebody next to her,
Yeah.
a coworker,
Taking
going,
the order.
"Come on, we gotta go. Come on." And that's why she's trying to type, but she's like, McGriddle. McGriddle.
McGriddle.
I'm sorry. Okay. Who's got a gun?
And it's always, you know how it is. It's always the worst person in the office taking the order, too.
Yep.
So they're probably standing next to her. You want a drink?
That's right. That's what she couldn't hear.
You want a drink?
How do you want your coffee?
What do you want, coffee? You want to get a coffee on this? I mean, brutal. It really was. So
I don't think even if you're McDonald's, you probably can't send this person coupons for free McGriddles.
No.
But it sounds like with the job, if there's indeed a shortage of operators,
that's the thing.
This person may not lose a job.
Well, they're investigating, but maybe not. Although you did hear the city councilman, never the two shall meet.
Intertwine.
Breakfast and guns, we cannot mix them. Luckily, the guy left. By the time cops got there, the guy had left, and they knew who it was, so they went and gave him a firm talking to. You are not to look in this woman's windows anymore.
Don't do it again.
This is the one that makes me pucker more. It's racial. We are going to talk about it with Lisa Lanier, our official attorney, on Friday. It happened in Texas, Groves, Texas. See what you think about this. A woman, her dog had gone missing, and she is African American. Her husband is a white, and she got a call from a neighbor 4 or 5 houses down saying, "We have your dog. Sorry, we have your dog." So she starts walking from her house to her neighbor's house, which is about a quarter of a mile to a half a mile down the road, 5 or 6 houses down. Well, she gets about 2 houses from her own home, and a cop pulls up beside her and says, "What are you doing here? What are you doing in this neighborhood?" And she says, "What do you mean?"
No.
It's one of those. Well, her husband happens to come out, sees what's happening, and he starts filming it and says, "Oh, I see. She's walking while black."
Groves Police Department can't walk while black in Groves.
Okay. Now, there are 4 cops talking to this woman. But the police chief said the reason there are 4 cops there is because 2 are new to the job and they're shadowing the other 2. And they were trying to say to this woman, they were trying to just sort of little training process. The woman was walking on the wrong side of the road.
Did you know if anyone called Grove police or Groves? I can't tell. Is it Grove or Groves?
Groves. Nobody called. Nobody called.
So they just happened by.
They were just patrolling. Happened by.
Whoop, whoop.
They did that. They pulled up.
Have you not been to Safety Town, ma'am? I've got Officer Friendly in the back of my car if you'd like to.
This is the woman who was walking.
2 cops stopped me. They had walked out with their hands on their gun, and then they asked me to see my ID.
So she felt offended, but she's like, I live right there.
Yeah.
Now then the guy, her husband, comes out, and you heard him yell, oh, walking while
Can't
black,
walk while
can't walk while black. So she goes up to one of the cops, and the cop says, look, I'm sorry, but she's walking with traffic, and she's supposed to be walking against traffic. She's supposed to be on the left-hand side of the road.
Do you know, could you tell from the video if this is a busy street or kind of a neighborhood?
Neighborhoody. I mean, a little busier than my street. We're in a cul-de-sac.
I would never call your street busy.
No.
Certainly not your little bottom.
Right. You've seen my bottom.
I have.
You know the feeder road that comes in there?
I do.
I'd call it like that. That's also,
Okay.
It's not busy either, but it's a little busier. We're in a cul-de-sac. We have a longer driveway, this kind of thing. So the woman says you really could have handled it way differently. But the police officer said, and she told the husband, she's breaking the law.
She was not walking on this side of the road.
What does it matter?
It's a traffic violation.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's in the traffic code. I'm showing you, sir.
It's not a traffic violation.
It is a traffic violation. And they did give her a traffic ticket for walking on the wrong side of the road. But she says if they had just said, ma'am, you better cross the road, she'd have been just fine. Instead, they all 4 got out. You know, they acted like it was a big deal.
You could have easily said, hey, ma'am, and then I could have explained to you which I was trying to do before you threatened my husband, threatened me to go to jail.
I feel like they looked and saw an easy target that nobody was going to come and defend and nobody was going to come help.
The police chief says they should have communicated better, and unfortunately, well, thank goodness it didn't escalate into something really big, but she was ticketed. Now they've got a lawyer, and they're ready to sue the police department, you know, for...
Yeah, I don't know how this ends.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I was going to ask Lisa Lanier, and I pucker on these. Okay,
Of course.
I don't like a racial element in this.
But you've also called 911 if you see a black person on your street.
Only Jacques Montavious, only because...
Only once.
You invited him.
Technically true, but again, he came back.
Because you owed him money?
Technically, yes, but he had scammed me for Pine Straw. And yes, it was part 2, the night Jacques Montavious came home.
Back.
Yes, that was the sequel.
Yes.
And that's when I sat in my closet with my Broncos football helmet on, doing like a lifetime shower rock, crying into the
To
phone.
Lisa Lanier.
To our attorney, Lisa Lanier, and then later to police. What I would have done if I was that cop is I'd have gone up and said, oh my gosh, you probably don't know this. You really need to be on the other side of the road for safety reasons. You know, have a nice day. Isn't that all you really need to do?
The number of people that I see walk on, quote unquote, the wrong side of the street.
Constant.
Every single day in our neighborhood.
Absolutely.
Every single day.
So you're supposed to walk with traffic coming toward
on the left
you
side
so
of
that
the
you
road.
can see traffic coming toward you, which I do agree with. I mean, if I'm ever out walking or jogging, I do that because I want to see what's coming at me. Because behind, I'm afraid I'll get out too far in the road. No clue.
You know where you learned that? Safety
Town.
You know who taught you that? Officer Friendly.
Yeah. Well, this guy they called him Officer Unfriendly because
That's right.
he was too aggressive. We'll see what Lisa Lanier thinks will wind up happening with this. Although she was technically in the wrong. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish, though, imagine if you had been a neighbor outside watching that happen. You would have been so uncomfortable.
I get very.
You'd have gone inside.
I get very. Oh God, yeah.
You filming this, Steve?
Just peering through the curtains.
Yeah.
With the blinds.
She's still there.
Yeah.
She's getting angry.
Then the husband would have noticed you. I see you looking through your blinds. You no helping fool.
I'm an ally.
I'm an ally. I'm an ally.
Did you not hear? I'm an ally to anyone who has been put upon. I want this on my tombstone.